Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 964 for the 14th of October. Actually, it's wrong. This is the wrong date. Actually, it's 965 for the 15th of October. And so I have done the conclusions yesterday. So yeah, did some overall talk. So just going to go into details here, and we're going to start off with the Kursk front. At the Kursk front, I have invalidated, or rather, no, I have put all the mapping that I have put with Surya maps into orange, into provisional mapping because I just don't think they are correct. So we'll just continue to monitor the situation. Strategically, the Russians are trying to squeeze the Ukrainians out across the Kursk front with fighting reported at Novi Put, Lyubimovka, Tostiluk, this Lyubimovka, Novo Ivanovka, and then Malaya Loknya, Ruskaya Proshnoe, and then Ruskaya Konopelka, as well as at Vasievka and Blakovo. So you can see that the number of red arrows basically have increased. Ukrainian somehow is still on the offensive somehow at Agovka. For some reasons they are on the offensive. When everything is going to shit, they are on the offensive at Agovka. And they are attacking, counter-attacking at Lyubimovka, at what is this place called? Zelenishite, as well as over at this is what another place, Zeni Clint. So there's the current strategic situation. Ukrainians are also counter-attacking over at Ruskaya Konopelka as well. So let's go into details. This is a strategic situation. There's no indication that the Russians have retaken the entire region of Novi Put, and I did mention during the conclusions on why this don't make sense. Based on the latest report coming from the Russian sources, there is no confirmation of Russian forces taking Novi Put. The situation, and the Russian Defense Ministry basically saying that they are attacking Ukrainian forces at Novi Put. So, it just doesn't look good, to put this as a no capture. So I just gonna just put it in orange. In the western flank, according to the Russian report from Raiba, they are now claiming that the Ukrainian forces are on the verge of encirclement. There is a water body over here. This is a water body, and the Ukrainians are still counter-attacking through the gap somehow. In Zelenishite, they are also counter-attacking over at Novo Ivanovka, which the Russians are attacking, and the Russians are pushing over at Lyubimovka and Tostiluk. Ukrainian forces are also counter-attacking over at Nizhny Klint, and so this is the alleged situation around here. I find it a bit hard to believe that the Russians have control of the open ground here, and I feel like this is just probably an attack, but which also don't make a lot of tactical sense despite this is reported by the Russian side. Because they have not even secured the two settlements. Why are they hitting southward? Trying to do an encirclement on grounds that you may find it very hard to hold don't make a lot of sense, because why would you want to encircle the enemy forces? Yeah, when you will not have enough troops to actually hold the encirclement. So generally this doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And Ukrainian forces has been geolocated at Darino, invalidating some of these Russian claims, which actually, in fact, this geolocation make me wonder if this Zeleny Clint mapping is even correct at all. It don't make a lot of sense to me. So we'll just continue to monitor the current situation. The fog of war over this area is pretty thick because nothing the pro-Russian side say makes sense tentatively. The orange mapping also is the Surya maps mapping. I have basically put it in orange because I just cannot believe this is the situation. I just find it like, no, it don't make sense at all, and there is no corroboration on it. So we're going to see how long it takes to corroborate Surya maps mapping. So yeah, so that's all for this western flank. Over in this in the northern flank, we have fighting reported at Agovka. So Ukrainian forces, as mentioned, launched an attack. According to Ryba, the pro-Russian source said that the Ukrainians launched an attack with the support of armor, and somehow this makes zero strategic sense. Why would they do that at all? Like, do you need to consolidate your lines because your lines are getting really weak, and it would make more sense to attack towards Lyubimovka to relieve your forces over at Novo Ivanovka and Zeleny side. So this makes no logical sense. And the Russian Defense Ministry continued to report about fighting over at Malaya Lognia. And according to Ryba, they say that the Russians are pushing at Ruskoye Parashnoye. And yeah, so that's the current situation in the northern flank. A lot of don't make sense things, especially even this part, like the fighting in Malaya Lognia don't make sense right now because we don't have the mapping to support what the hell is currently happening over there. Over in the southern flank, there is a lot of actions around here. Russian forces, as usual, trying to attack in the region of Plekovo. The entire orange region is the Surya Maps claims, which I'll currently put it on hold. But Russian mapping still do show that they have this salient in the forest north of Plekovo. According to the Russian sources, they're saying that the Russians are now pushing at Fanasievka, as well as over in the region along the railway line up towards Sudja. And fighting is currently over in Ruskaya Konopelka. Ukrainian forces are counterattacking in this region here. Russian forces geolocated at storming the tree line around here, which is basically the trigger for me to just put this entire area into question, which I just I had enough. So I cannot live with this kind of a mapping where it don't fit with whatever the reporting from my trusted sources and the official sources coming out from. So I just have to put it into orange. We're gonna see how long it takes. If it for too long it doesn't corroborate, I would just delete all of them. So yeah, this is what it is. So it's important to fact check. Whatever, maybe Surya Maps have bad sources. There's a possibility. It might be nothing to do with him. It could be the sources that feeding him rubbish. There's also a possibility. So I always urge everyone, when you watch read newspaper. I don't think there's newspaper anymore. But when you read news, see information on social media, especially coming from major aggregators and news media, always remember that they said certain things, especially if it's a bit surprising, and then make sure that you fact check. And then if it does happen way too often that they are reporting false information or information that cannot be corroborated, then I think it's a good decision to just throw them aside. Because if not, then you'll just put yourself into severe risk of getting duped by bad information. So Kharkiv front is getting a bit interesting. So other than the usual with the Russians attacking studies here and Voschansk, which is usual, and the Russian Defense Ministry reported shelling at Veliki Prokody, there is this developing thing that is currently happening, moving towards Belgorod. So Belgorod is over here, by the way. This is Belgorod, and Ukrainian forces has been geolocated inside the forest at Zuravlevka, and they are now reported to be attacking Zuravlevka. According to pro-Russian sources, the Ukrainians are now on the offensive, and they have breached the Russian border again, this time round in the Belgorod region. So it's unclear how the Russians are dealing with this. There is no Russian Defense Ministry report about anything about this area here getting attacked. This is purely from the geolocation and the pro-Russian source. We shall wait and see how this goes. But the scale of the attack looks a bit small. In my opinion, an offensive needs to be way bigger than this. So I don't think this is going to go far. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, Belgorod is still a way better target than Kursk. Belgorod is way nearer. We're talking about distance from the city, from the border is just 30 kilometers. If the Ukrainians have spent these 30 kilometers around here, the furthest push was around 28 kilometers, they could have threatened Belgorod. But no, they decided to push here where Belgorod, which Kursk is actually 80 kilometers away. So yeah, so it's just a wasted opportunity for the Ukrainians to really get some real bargaining chip. Tentatively, all they have is a bunch of farmlands that the Russians is perfectly fine throwing bombs at. So it's just whatever it is. Over in the Kupiansk front, at the Kupiansk front, Russian forces are fighting at Petropavlivka and Kusherivka. There is shelling reported at Khrushchevka. According to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, for some reason, they said that the Russians attacked in the area of Khrushchevka, which there's no Khrushchevka nearby in the front lines. So I just have to map it here. So that's all for this area. In the Pischane front, the Russian forces are attacking over in okay, I just have to do this, over at Novo Osinove, Klushkivka, as well as Kuliakivka, Pischane, Peretove, as well as towards Lozova. And the big one is of course at Kuliakivka, where the crossing with Senkove is. Russian forces have found another way in. They have entered into the northeastern area, street of Kuliakivka. So they have now two areas that they can attack through. One is through this street, this is the other street. So I think that the Russians would look for one more at least, and I believe that it's going to be from the south, which is where the Russians might be coming from, and maybe they will take the farmlands around here and go up north. There's a possibility, and this is also the closest distance to the breach. And we shall see how this continue to develop around here. Further south from at the Svetove front, we have, I think, reported over in the northern part at Vishneve, but not much information about this. In the southern flank, we have, I think, reported over at Kharkivka, Mekievka, and Nevke. Otherwise, this is usual, nothing special about this. Over in the Kremina front, we have, I think, reported at Zarishny, Torske, sorry, as well as Dibrova. This orange patch is, of course, again Surya Maps mapping. I have put it in orange and push back the Russian mapping. So now the Russian mapping do not reflect this claim from Surya Maps, because I just find it like, yeah, it just need to be fact checked. Over in the Sivas front, similar situation around here. And so for the Khorivka region, this mapping around here was previously drawn by DivGen, and also it was also done by Surya Maps. I have basically validated it entirely, leaving only the patch of land leading to where the Russian forces was previously geolocated. Otherwise, there is fighting reported at Khorivka though. Not sure where the attack coming from. Is it from the north or is it from the east? So this area here, I also have returned the Russian mapping to where the DPA mapping used to be. So otherwise I just cannot sleep. I just find it like really hard to like I cannot digest this kind of mapping. It's too dirty, too messy. Over in the northern flank of the Bakhmut front, Russian forces are fighting at Zeliniansky, Orikovo, towards Minkivka, and Kalinina. So that's the current situation. I really want to see more from here, but yeah, tentatively it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. Everything is like a fake. And over in the southern flank, there's only fighting reported as Tuposhki and towards Peteshny. And there is geolocation of Ukrainian forces in the south of Mykolaiivka or Chasivia. So that's all. The mapping over here, might also get invalidated someday. Because this is, I believe, by DivGen, I think. So, but we shall see how this goes. But nothing is happening over there, so it's very hard to validate any information or corroborate or invalidate any information coming from the southern flank of the Bakhmut, because this is just a dead zone. Over at the New York front, we have fighting reported at Druzhba, Dashny, Torex, Skibinivka, and Sukabauka. There is geolocation of Ukrainian forces in the north of Torex, which is not important. So that's the current situation. We have the same situation around here where I have invalidated all the mapping, or rather, put all the mapping separate from our official mapping. These are all by Surya Maps. These are all the Surya Maps claims, and which means that the Ukrainian forces currently have this possible salient in the forest in the south of Torex, which the Russians currently know is not known to be there actually, despite that the mapping from DivGen and Surya Maps just close up the entire thing suddenly. But officially, as well as my personal petition, I just cannot see how I can just close up this thing like immediately. So we just have to wait and for more information and more corroboration. There is maybe flag raisings, troop movement, bombardments, drone strikes, whatnot. If without all these things, it's just really hard. Like this part over this area here where the Ukrainians do not acknowledge at all, we have geolocation of Russian forces within it, but the Ukrainians have not acknowledged it. And unless the geolocation is wrong, yeah, then our mapping is going to be like this for now. So anyway, that's all from the New York front. over at the Pokrov front, we have this Pokrov, by the way, this Pokrov. Fighting is reported over at Novotoretsk, towards Myro-Lubivka, at Promin, towards Minograd, Krasnaya Krutia. So Krasnaya Krutia is mentioned by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. So, but otherwise, the situation remains the same. And I believe this previous mapping over here was by Surya Maps as well, I believe. So let's check. So so in this area here, so I believe 9th, 7th, 10th. So on the 10th, we have this mapping around here, which, so let me turn off the current latest mapping because I can't click. This area, this deep state, so deep state acknowledge this capture of Krasnaya Krutia. Okay, that's good. And then after that, on the 11th, we have this mapping also by deep state. So okay, so the mapping is pretty legit. So this is by deep state UA, very highly trustable source. So yeah, so there's there's no problem around here. That's good. But somehow there is Ukrainian reports about fighting in these these two areas. So that's a bit weird. So let's see how this goes. At the Selidove region, the Ukrainians have so there's fighting reported at Selidove, but not exactly sure where. However, there's some frontline changes in the south, where the Russians seems to be pushing out from the railway line, but the Ukrainians also claim that they have more control in the south of Selidove. So they have mapped it like this. So this is a Ukrainian claim, but this is a Russian capture. So that's all from Selidove region. At the Hernik region, we have fighting reported towards Novodimitrivka. Might be something to do with the frontline change there. Fighting is reported at Sukharine, Krimina Balka, Novoselidivka. And that's all. Somehow there's no reports about fighting within and around Hernik, which is kind of unusual. So I wonder if there's something changed around here, like maybe this entire area has been captured by the Russians. I don't think so. That's a bit ridiculous. Over at the Kurakove region, Ukrainian mapping have acknowledged the fall of Otrivsky to the Russians. Whereas fighting is currently ongoing around the Hyogivka region. So that's all from the Kurakove front. We move further south to the Konstantinivka Vodiane region, where the Russians are doing pretty much the same thing. Fighting reported at Konstantinivka, towards Antonivka, Katerinivka, and towards Bohovyevlenka. There's a geolocation of Ukrainian forces at the end of the tree line that changes the front line a little bit, but it's largely a correction of the front line because it's not really much. It's like it's just little bit here. So it's just a small change. It doesn't change anything per se. There is geolocation of a guided artillery strike on Ukrainian artillery in the north of Bohovyevlenka. So otherwise, that's all. Over the Velika Novosilka region, there is fighting reported at Zolotaneva, towards Velika Novosilka, towards Otobrski, or Zoneve, or Blahodatne. There's fighting reported somehow in the Rozdone region, or maybe running towards there. And there's fighting reported at Levatne. Some frontline changes around the Prione region, confirming the Russian forces continue to expand their control. This is mapping by the Ukrainian mapping, expanding control, moving towards Levatne. So the Russians are indeed pushing around here. So it haven't reached the level of the Russian mapping where the Russians claim that they have captured Levatne. But the Ukrainians do acknowledge that the Russians are pushing from the region of Prione, moving towards Levatne. So that's all from this sector of the front line. Over at the Zaporizhia front, shelling is reported at Stepney, so not important. Otherwise, there is only fighting reported at Malotomashka. So over here, this Malotomashka. And geolocation of Ukrainians getting airstrike at Novoandrievka. So otherwise, there's nothing new around in this area here in Zaporizhia front. Over the Kherson front, only fighting reported at the Pridniprovsky direction as usual. Shelling is reported at Ternivka. Otherwise, that's it from the Kherson front. Oh, there is one more. There is a Iskander strike, the missile strike over on the Ukrainian armored plant in Mykolaiv. But not important. Not important. Missile strikes are not important. So it's important in the reality, but it's not important in our mapping and reporting. So anyway, that's it. Press the like button, subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next update, and enjoy your Wednesday.